Friends, welcome to the fifth module. In this particular module, we are going to look at something which is happening recently. So far, we have looked at something called conventional networking model, which is changing, and this is one of the critical change that we are going to look at. Okay, we have looked at all network fundamentals and we have seen how communication process takes place. Now, this is something which is the deviation from that conventional way of working. Okay, we have looked at a few things like packet switching is something that the conventional communication process follows, and there is something called multiplexing that is happening. We will be throwing some light on that, what is multiplexing, how it is working. Okay. And we will see something called packet classification that's changing the every process that we talked about in a very typical fashion. There is something called multi-layer switching that is also coming in. So, this is basically an introduction and is kind of an agenda that we are going to look at. Okay. When we need packet classification, there are few things when we need packet classification. The one of the critical thing is high speed networks are being used. Currently, we have file Ethernet has gone to 100 GB. 100 GB is phenomenal, it's huge speed. Now, networks are working at that speed, the routers and the other devices will have to work at that speed. Now, that is critical. Instead of conventional layered multiplexing process, which is pretty slow, if you want to work at that speed, you need something else, and that is what packet classification. You need a different service model, and I will be talking about that. This you may seem that little deviation from the process, but it is very critical, because if you do not understand this, many things that we will talk about later you may not be able to understand. Okay. Now, remember the structure that we talked about. We looked at a case, you have an application layer. Now, you have a TCP or UDP, you may use what you want. Each of them can also use IP, but you can have IP version 4 and there is something called IP version 6. Either of them use either, okay. Both of them can use both, it is possible. Not only that, the Ethernet card that you have can carry IP version 4 or IP version 6 packet. In fact, there are multiple applications. SMTP is using TCP, SMTP is using TCP, is not using UDP. There is an FTP which use TCP, but then there is DNS which uses UDP and so on. So, there are some applications which use TCP, there are some applications which use UDP. No, we do not have yet any application specific to SSTP, but that also is possible. But try to see that there is a problem. Problem is, for example, I am a sender and I have constructed this Ethernet frame, I have embedded an IP version 4 packet, and when the receiver, assume that this is the sender. Now, the receiver, it is sent here. Now, the receiver receives this frame, it also has an IP version 4 process running, IP version 6 process running. Now, this packet, whatever it has carried, is to be given to IP version 4 or 6. How will this receiver decide? Will decide based on a very simple thing. There is a field called type. This type field will tell me exactly where to send this thing, IP version 4 or IP version 6. Either of them, when they receive, they will also have a dilemma. There are two things possible, TCP process and a UDP process. So, whom to give? Now, again there is a field called protocol in the packet. That protocol field, if the value is 6, it is to be TCP, 17 then it is UDP. And again TCP we have seen, if the port number is 80 then it is web, 25 then it is SMTP and so on. So, and it is 53, in fact it is UDP, then it is 53, then it is to be given to DNS. So, this port number here, so we have 3 fields: port number at transport layer, port number at transport layer, type at Ethernet, protocol or the next header. Next header is used in IP version 6. So, we have different fields at different layers. So, that is the point. How the values are decided? The protocol value is decided by the sender's IP. Type value is decided by the sender's Ethernet, because when it is embedding an IP version 4 packet, it knows that is IP version 4, so it sets the type value accordingly. When the IP places TCP inside, it knows that it is inserting TCP inside, so it will add value 6 in the protocol field, so on and so forth. So, sender decides. Recipient takes decision at the respective layer. So, that is conventional process, and type is very critical, all these fields. The observations, there is a field at every layer, multiple choices available at every layer, and that field actually will help you decide which one is right. And these are examples. So, if there are FTP, I have only a single TCP connection with 2 applications, one is FTP and other is HTTP, and TCP is sending segment by segment, this TCP data unit is called segment, is sending it to the receiver. How do receiver know? Because both of them are being sent, how do receiver know which one is which? They look at, the receiver looks at the port number to decide. The same thing is also happening at IP. So, application, so application is decided based on the port number, and I can have TCP or I can have UDP, and IP carries both of them inside. So, eventually when it comes here, how will these 2 things will be given to TCP? Because both of them contain the protocol value as 6. So, it will be delivered here, but 17 will be delivered to a UDP process, and again based on the protocol port number values will be delivered to applications. So, this is basically the process. And there is one more example, sending TCP and UDP together, the IP is multiplexing them. This process is known as multiplexing, and demultiplexing at the other end. So, that is how it is doing, and I was talking about this. So, this receiving IP, how it decides based on protocol value. So, every TCP or UDP segment will have a header having this value indicating who the actual recipient is. The type field also acts in this fashion. So, IP version 4, if IP version 4 gives a packet to Ethernet, the type value will be hex value 8000. If it is IP version 6, the hex value is 86 DD. The receiving card will do what? It will just look at the type field. If it is 8000 hex, will give to IP version 4, and 86 DD will give here. So, this is the process. But that is quite elegant, quite useful, and quite I would say elegant model which worked for years, but in recent years there is a need to change. What is the problem? The problems are a few. First, high speed networks are on the rise, and this process which happens layer by layer, remember in the beginning I have told you that layering process is linear process, and that is the reason why it takes little more time. So, when there is a speed requirement, layering mechanism is not followed. So, and high speed networks you can't work in linear fashion, you will have to work in a parallel fashion. Not only that, the other thing which is happening is, suppose if I am an ISP and I provide services like 2G, 3G, 4G, I am not only going to route based on destination address, but I am also going to route based on who the customer is, whether it is a gold customer or platinum customer or silver customer, and I am going to route based on that. Not only that, I may route route information based on whether it is 2G subscriber, 3G subscriber, 4G subscriber, because I am going to provide different speeds for those different packets, and if I do not provide, who will go for higher packets. So, I need to do that, I have to discriminate and process packets according to this information. Now, we know that this information is not provided by the Ethernet or IP or something. So, how do you do that? That is the biggest challenge, and people have already answered that. There are methods used in past one is known as MPLS, and there are few other mechanisms also. But then latest things are very different, and we will be talking about lot of we will be talking about MPLS later, but then there is something called software defined networks, which actually explicitly do that to the best possible way. We will be learning about them in modules 31, 32 and 33. Anyway, so let us come back. Let us first of all understand the basic idea of packet classification. Okay. And the next reason is I want to provide different services to different packets based on something in the packet, okay, not based on some header. For example, 2G customers and 3G customers and 4G customers, the entire packet might contain some field somewhere which indicates their category, and I like to take decision based on that. How will I do that? That is a challenge. Okay. And in fact, it is basically router. Remember, router only look at IP header information, and IP does not contain that information, then you cannot do it. Now, that is conventional, these things. Okay. So, how to do that is a question. Current linear model is not suitable, okay, and the independence of layer prohibits, like IP cannot poke into what when TCP gives its segment, IP should not poke into that. The IP should not make any decision based on that content. That is independence of layers. We looked at that. And that enabled changing one layer independent of the other. That is a great thing to have. But at this point of time, it becomes a hindrance. Okay. We needed an alternate solution. What does it mean? It means that we need a better performance. It should work with the fastest of networks and ability to access any part of the network packet. Now, I do not want to do it linearly, like take the network header and look at the TCP, and take out the TCP header and look at the application. No, I would like to look at everything together. So, I need something like that. The network classification is the answer to this puzzle. Okay. Two critical problems to address. First, classifying incoming packets based on information at any layer, anything. Okay. So, we do not do that discriminant in terms of layers any longer, and we will have to do it in real time pretty fast. Okay. So, these two are the challenges. What are the solution? First solution, what I do is when a packet comes to me, okay, normally when a packet comes to me, I do what? Take out the first Ethernet. Ethernet will process that header, then the network will process that header, then transport, then application, and eventually you get the data. Now, that is a linear process. I do not want to do that. Once the Ethernet completes that, I am into this TCP territory. This is TCP territory. Remember, Ethernet or the host to network layer is something that we do not need to really worry about. TCP stack begins from IP. Now, here I do not want any linear this thing. What I want is, I just map this thing, the complete thing, into an array of bytes, first 2, 3, 4. Now, once I do that, the complete packet, any data of the packet is available in form of an array. So, I can address any byte, I can just pick up any byte, byte number 25, byte number 275 or byte number 300, I will be able to access in single CPU cycle. So, that is the first thing that I am going to do. Okay. So, that is mapping naming packets into an array of bytes, make every element of the packet accessible directly, it's clear. Okay. Additional thing that we are going to do is this. Okay. Our conventional model, we had application, transport, IP, and then we have Ethernet or whatever. Now, we add one more layer here, it is called classification. Now, this layer is critical. Now, this is added. That is what I am telling you, that now the conventional model is changed. This Ethernet data, once Ethernet receives everything, it passes it up not to IP, but to the classification layer, and the classification layer will not decide on basis of anything header or anything, will look at the complete packet together and decide, and if it decide anything, it will not be processed by these layers, will only will only be processed by the classification layer, okay, and will not be processed by any higher layer. Okay. Network classification obviously will work like if 2G customer send it on this line, 3G customer send it on this line, 4G customer send it on this line. How that decision is made, how these rules are generated? Rules are generated by administrators. They decide that this is a network segment for 2G, this is a network segment for 3G and this is a network segment for 4G. Any incoming customers packet is to be classified on that basis and it is to be diverted to these segments based on that particular value 2G, 3G or 4G. Okay. So, that is what network administrators will decide. So, the classification process, the rules are decided by the administrator. Okay. And how do I know that value? Will just say that okay, the 25th byte you just see what it contains. If it contains 2G, send it there, it contains 3G, send there, contain 4G, send there, kind of. Okay. So, it looks at a specific offset value and then decide. Okay. Network layer is the entry point for the TCP/IP model, and the classification, this thing happens just before it. Okay. The classification, okay, this is the IP. Okay. So, this is the entry point and this entry point is not, is before that classification layer takes place. Okay. So, that is so classification, we looked at that, and then the other thing which is also very critical for this thing is that there are a lot of different types of routing processes. Switches use network classification, most of the switches today use network classification. If they say layer 3 switch, they do classification based on the IP address. If it is a layer 4 switch, it looks at the transport layer and decide the process of classification based on the transport layer header. Layer 5 decides based on the application layer. For example, I want to divert TCP traffic on one line, UDP traffic on one line. What should I do? I should use layer 4 switch. What if I am interested in getting an SMTP traffic separate from an FTP traffic or web traffic on some other line? I will have to line layer 5. In fact, there is something called virtual LAN also exists. We will be looking at virtual LAN little in more detail later, but this virtual LAN will group network in a virtual fashion. Let me try to explain that. Okay. So, what I have is, I have a switch and I have 4 ports, very simple. By conventional case, all 4 ports define a single network. But if I am using virtual LAN, I can say that the first 2 belongs to network 1, this belongs to network 2 and this belongs to network 3. It is quite possible that I have one more switch which also contain some node for network 1 and some few nodes for network 2. It is possible, I can actually do it. So, virtual LAN, virtual local area network, your nodes do not confine to physical network they belong to, but it is a logical grouping, that is the point. Okay. So, they are not based on physical proximity, and all ports of a switch no longer are connected to the same network. That is what I wanted to convey here. And a virtual line can have members cutting across the entire organization. And virtual LAN, different ports belongs to different LAN. It is possible. A frame might be broadcasted to a specific LAN, then it is to be actually sent to multiple switches. So, how to model that? Obviously, you need packet classification. Okay. And that is basically done in case of VLAN. There is something called VLAN tag which is added, and it should be done based on that. So, this is one type of classification process. Okay. In case of MAC address, that process, that is layer 2 switch. Okay. So, what do you do? If MAC address X, then send it there, MAC address Y, then send it on this line. It is kind of classification happening on MAC layer. Okay. I have already talked about that. Okay. Now, when you talk about classification, packet classification process, there are 3 components involved into it. The first one is a classifier which actually classifies the incoming packet based on rules. Remember, the rules are provided by administrators. So, classifier is the main component which has the incoming packets and will decide whether to send which packet where when. Okay. So, categorize incoming packet based on rules, send them to specific paths, and it continues contain rules and very fast logic to apply. Okay. In fact, it is so designed that every rule is applied together, and a single CPU cycle you know exactly which path the packet should take. Okay. The other one is called packet processor. Once you decide a specific path, for example, 2G. So, the packet processor will add a 2G tag to it. So, later on nobody will have to classify it. It is tagged as 2G, it should be processed at 2G for the complete network. So, that processor does that job. But however, remember this rules which classifier uses are to be provided. Now, who will provide? The administrator. So, administrator needs an interface to that classifier, and that interface is called configuration interface. So, classifier is configured by the administrator using this configuration interface, and it eventually boils down to this thing. So, configuration interface is what the administrator is using, and add, delete, modify, change the rules for classification. LAN card, when receives the packet, gives that thing to the classifier. Remember, LAN card goes to the classification this thing. So, classifier accepts that and processes them based on the rules which are provided. Based on these rules, it will tell the packet to follow one path out of the multiple paths. Okay. So, the packet will travel that path and process forward. Okay. And this is exactly what is discussed, I have already talked about. Okay. Anyway, but then still you have done that, like we just have our network, a complete packet in form of an array, and we will do it in a single cycle, but that is not enough. What I want to do is, I like to do it in real time pretty fast, because for example, when you were working with Ethernet with 10 G of speed, 100 G of speed, 100 gigabit per second, it becomes almost impossible for you to work if you do not work at hardware level. Hardware, you will have to do it at hardware level. Okay. So, how to do it? So, this is where it describes, you will have to do this thing in using some form of parallelism. In a way, what I want to do is, I want to search, but in a single CPU cycle. How will I do it? I do not need to invent anything. There is something called content addressable memory. It is a great thing to have. Now, what content addressable memories are? I am interested in searching something in a conventional memory. What I will have to do is to look at the first cell, if the value is there, then second cell, third cell, fourth cell. Now, that is a linear search, it is not going to work here. So, content addressable memory is great in the sense that if I say that I want some value, if it is there in any cell, get me, then it will get me, it will check all the cells at once and gives me the answer in single CPU cycle. So, that is content addressable memory is already there. So, this packet classification process will just be using it, okay. But then there is something more to it. For example, layer 2 switches, I said layer 2 switches does what? They look at the MAC address and decide. Now, MAC addresses are very easy, because if you are connected to 5 nodes, you will need to only be sending to one of them. So, your MAC address is what? How many addresses? The 5 addresses. So, you can have a simple table with all 5 addresses. You may have 10, but that 5 or 10 you do not need to search linearly. If you are using content addressable memory, what do you do? Okay. Let me explain. Okay. If you are using content addressable memory, whenever it comes to you, okay, what the classifier does, you use CM, it just get that destination MAC address, use CMM and check for all 5 addresses, and wherever together. So, if it is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, if it is this, we will just send it across. So, in a single CPU cycle, that layer 2 switch can send that packet forward. So, that is great, because I am matching that. Okay. Content addressable memory is pretty simple. And basically this content addressable memory, the input is in form of zeros and ones. So, it will match with 0 or 1 and proceed further. Okay. They are called binary CAMs. Okay. So, the input is in form of zeros and ones, but that will not work in some cases, especially in the case of routers. Okay. For example, this is what we have in as a valid 48-bit address we use with Ethernet switches. Okay. When the input is provided is such in one go, that is what I have talked about. Now, the routers cannot work this way. Okay. There is a dilemma. Let us look at what the problem is. I will just look at this table, this thing. I have a router 1, router 2 and router 3. There are 3 routers, and router 2 has to have some routing table. So, there are 3 networks on this line and 3 networks on this line, and you may be surprised to like 11.1.0.0 okay, /1/1/1 means it is first byte is used for network address. Here 24 bits are used for network address, sorry, it is not 1, it will have to be 16. Okay, so 2 bytes are used, but here 24, so 3 bytes are used. So, that is not the problem. The routing table R2, once you decide routing table is like this, it is 16. So, 11.1.0.0 16 is R1, okay, and give it to interface 1. See, there are 2 interfaces, R2 has 1, interface 1 and interface 2. So, any packet coming in, it knows if it is for R1, if for this, then it is to be given to R1, if for this it is to be given to R1, if for this it is to be given to R1, and for any one of them it is to be given to R3. So, that is precisely what it is doing. Okay. So, it has 2 this thing R1 and R3. Now, you can keep this thing, but the problem is that such a large, this is only 6, but if you consider all possible router is going to be a huge routing table, and remember larger the routing table, more time it takes in searching. So, we will have to reduce it, but in this case it is pretty easy for us to reduce, and how do we do it? We will just say that anything starts from 11, give it to R1, anything starts from 192.12, give it to R3, simple. But then when a packet comes to me, what I am going to do? I say that first one R11, next can be either 0 or 1, and I can allow that thing. For that, binary CAM cannot work, because binary CAM will only work with fixed value 1 and 0. Any is something that it cannot work with. Let us try to understand. For example, what I want is 10 XX11. Then what I want is I should match first 2 bits as 10, last 2 bits as 11, the rest 2 bits can be any. I want that kind of a check, because my router says that first 2 are 11, rest can be anything. So, that is precisely what I want here. Again, there is something which is there for us to rescue from this problem called ternary CAM. Ternary CAM can match both zeros and ones as well as any field. Okay? And there are such some examples. For example, any IP address handler begins with 12.0, that means 12.0 then any. And when the either 150th or 21st bit is 1, or when the IP address begin with this and port number, these are kind of queries that I have. Remember, this is what packet classification is all about. So, if this is happening, what I want is to send the packet on this line, that this is what the classifier should match, and this ternary CAM can do this. Okay? And so, if ternary CAM can actually say that 192.28, which is basically collection of zeros and ones, dot any, that means any either 0 or 1 can work. Okay. And now, the process of classification, let us summarize the process of classification. We have already looked at. So, let us summarize incoming frame or packet. Now, here we do not distinguish, frame is layer 2, packet is layer 3, but here is basically independent of layer. So, I will just use anything or data unit or whatever you call it. Arriving at the network layer process, first 2 layers is done, and then the packet is extracted and delivered to the classification layer. The classification layer, based on rules, will check all the rules together. Now, that is very critical. Okay. And then ternary CM based search is applied, we will find the path. Okay. And here that this, because I am working on all the layers together, it is called cross layer optimization in some cases. But then this classification is a great solution which can help me in packet classification, but is not without cost. Okay. CM, okay, content addressable memory, adds its own overhead. Not only it is will address all memory cells together, obviously it eat up more memory, eat up more power, it will also take a little more bulkier. So, when you are carrying a device with CM will expensive. Anyway, CMs we are not using in our laptops, we are using in routers which we do not move around with. So, it is just fine. Okay. So, here are the issues. With that, we will conclude this module. In this module, we have looked at the conventional multiplexing process, that is based on the conventional communication mechanism that we have already looked at. And then we have seen the latest trend in packet classification, which is demanded by ISPs and high end routers, okay, high speed networks and routing based on specific quality or type of service demanded a solution of this type, and we have seen how that is carried out with the help of CMs and ternary CMs. With that note, I would like to conclude. Thank you all.